Alright, today we're going to look at multiplication and division of integers. There's two rules. The nice thing is that both rules, they work for multiplication and division. So, we'll look at multiplication first. And once you understand that, it'll be real easy to understand division because they're the same rules. So, here are the two rules. When there's one negative in the problem, your answer is negative. When there's two negatives in the problem, your answer turns back to positive. So, let's look at negative 3 times 7. Well, before we do that, first let's look at what we would normally have before that. And we would have positive 3 times 7. Well, what's 3 times 7? You know is 21. So now let's look at the original problem, negative 3 times 7. Well, I'm going to write 3 times 7. I'm going to put my negative in here just so you can see it a little differently. Negative 3 times 7. As we changed it, we can't have the same positive 21. We would change the problem from 3 to negative 3. So it's going to change our answer to negative 21. And it doesn't matter whether it's a negative 3 or negative 7. If there's one negative in the problem, your answer is negative. Okay? And now let's look at the next example. And we have negative 4 times negative 6. Well, that's the second rule, right? When they're both negative. Well, again, let's go back to the beginning, and we learned that if there were 4 times 6, we learned that as 24. You learned that in 3rd grade. And then we just learned when there was one negative in the problem. So let's do 4 times negative 6, right? When there's one negative in the problem, so it had to be a negative 24. But now we're looking at the second part. Negative 4 times negative 6. Well, there's two negatives in the problem. Hey, notice that this is the same negative 6, negative 6, but 4 and negative 4 are not. So I can't get the same answer as negative 24. So what would be the difference than negative 24? It goes back to being a positive 24. And the nice thing, once you learn this, for multiplication, the same rules apply for addition. So I'm not going to go through all three examples, but we are going to go and just kind of solve it for you. So 12 divided by negative 2. Well, there's one negative in the problem, so my answer is going to be negative 6. Oh. I'm going to see if I can fix that. I don't like that 6. There we go. So 12 divided by negative 2 is negative 6. And now let's look at the last one we have here. And again, we'll pick different. We have negative 20 divided by negative 5. All right, what's the rule? How many negatives are in the problem? There are two negatives. If there's two negatives in the problem, it means our answer is going to be back to positive. 20 divided by 5 is 4. Negative 20 divided by negative 5 is 4. Alright, so there are two rules for multiplication and division. If there's one negative in the problem, your answer is negative. If there's two negatives in the problem, your answer is positive. Now, you should know that these two rules are part of a much larger set of multiplication and division rules, but more multiplication, but it'll apply for division too. And that's this. And I'm going to tell it to you just so you have the idea, but for most, when you're introducing these integers, this will be good enough. But here's the larger rule. When we're multiplying, if there's an odd number of negatives, if there's one negative in the problem, which we already practiced, your answer is negative. But if there's 3 negative numbers in the problem, if there's 5 negative numbers or 7 negative numbers, there's an odd number of negative numbers in the problem, your answer is going to be negative. And just like the other example with two negative numbers turn positive. If there's an even number of negatives in the problem, so if there's 2 or 4 or 6 or 8 or 20 or 80, doesn't matter, even number of negatives. So we count all the negative numbers, and if there's an even number, your answer is going to be positive. Okay, so that's the larger rule. But for now, you just need to know if there's one negative number in the problem, your answer is going to be a negative. If there's two negative numbers in the problem, your answer is going to be positive.